my audience, which muting. Okay. Hello, my name is Katie Schuster, and this is my informative speech on Langston Hughes. The title of my speech is Langston Hughes, the King of the Pen. Langston Hughes was an inspirational writer and a Harlem Renaissance-raised activist. Hughes created waves that are still crashing today. In this speech, I will go over where he grew up, how he learned to be who he was, and how he left quite an impression. First, I'm going to go over his early life. He was born in 1901, and this part goes about to the 1920s. He had divorced parents, so he was raised primarily by his grandmother. He learned at a very young age what it meant to be Black in the US. He moved a lot when he was younger, and by the age of 12, he had already moved to 6 different US cities. All his travels put him into a situation where he became very well versed in human interactions and understanding where others thought that his place should be in this world. All right, now I will share Hughes's mid-years from about the 1920s to 1940s. He made huge moves in these years of his life. When he was 21, he lived with his dad in Mexico, and then he moved to Colombia for a year. Then he moved onto a boat, which took him to Spain and Africa. And during this time, he was writing poetry and studying and talking with all different walks of life. Then he landed in Paris in 1942, and he studied poetry there, where this is when he released one of his famous poems, Weary Blues. After this, he moved back to the US and worked in a hotel, where he met some influential writers and he gained a wider audience. This opportunity led him to travel around the world doing seminars while publishing books and poems and plays as well. His poems were all read in this jazz frequency, and that made the audience encaptured in everything that he was saying. This is also when he released one of his other famous poems called Fine Clothes to the Jew. In 1940, he released an autobiography from the beginning parts of his life. And now for my last point, I will discuss where Hughes landed in his later years. He was releasing books and influencing many with his life at this point. He was in the Chicago Defender releasing a comic strip that portrayed the everyday life and addressed the racial issues of the Black man during that period. His character, Simple, turned into the focus of many of Hughes' future plays and books and short stories. By the end of his life, he died of prostate cancer, unfortunately. But before he died, he released another very influential poem called Harlem, What Happens to a Dream Deferred. Hughes was a controversial king, raised by divorced parents, growing up Black, and being questionably gay. He conquered so much and left such a lasting impression on our culture. Hughes grew up everywhere and was a legend, and he didn't care what other people thought and died a hero to many. This is a quote from Hughes himself: "I do not need my freedom when I'm dead. Do not forget to fight for what you believe in and make yourself heard." Thank you.